0, 1. Let's get started.
Mixed reality is getting good, y'all. Welcome back to the construct. So I don't know if it was already in the works or if the Apple Vision Pro pushed Meta into version 67's new UI where you're able to freely move windows around anywhere you want. But I will say I am very happy that it's happened, it's here, and there's nothing like healthy competition to set everything straight. But we need to talk about the elephant in the room. If you're new to this channel, we've covered a couple of browser apps here, and browser apps that mimic the Apple Vision Pro experience or just the mixed reality experience of moving windows around in a space. And if you've subscribed, you probably subscribed after watching one of those videos. So today, let's take a look at version 67 and what it's capable of doing and see how it stacks up against my current favorite browser mixed reality app, Fluid. I think there's room for both of these types of apps in this space, especially with an open OS, but let's hop into it. All right, so right off the bat, you notice something different is going on here. You can see that the connections window is kind of popped over to the side, a little bit turned in, and then you notice the outline that starts to hover around the windows when I get close, letting you know that there's something different going on post-update. So you can see we can move things in that same dock, 3-dock window from before, but they're separated and they kind of pop in. So that same dock that kind of keeps all of the things connected is still there. But the benefit now is that we can move things off of that dock and just leave them in space like this. So I can move things up there. You can see the dock is completely empty now. And I can move these around and add more windows. Let's open up a browser window. So we have 1, 2, 3 windows open. Now it says you can open up 3 windows. Let's move one more tab over there. 3 windows in the dock and then an additional 3 windows outside of that. So I'm going to open up the Horizon feed. Well, we already have that open. Let's open up Meta TV, move that up here. Looks like I lost one of my browser windows, probably because I didn't have anything on it. Let's add another one there. Okay, cool. So 2 browser windows, Horizon feed, Meta TV, connections. Let's pick something else. Let's just do store. Why not? I'm gonna pick that up, and looks like I can't pick things up right out of the dock. I'm just gonna open it first and move it out here. Now, which one did I lose? We have 5 up. I lost one of my browser windows. Looks like it keeps consolidating those together. Let's take this one and put it right there. Okay, great. This is the maximum amount of windows that we can have open in this new look. What's nice about the dock is that I can kind of move these around all together. They stay in one place. Once you get up to 6 windows, if you had 6 free-floating windows, I feel like you'd kind of start to get lost and forget where you're putting things, and it would get kind of away from you there. So let's look at some of the other features. Of course, the Netflix browser update was a big deal, especially for this kind of thing. But I'm just going to go ahead and play a little 3-body problem here just to have something playing. And I'm going to maximize that. You can see there's still some UI stuff that isn't quite polished out. Looks like that curved corner is not quite right. I'm sure I could resize that into something that makes a little bit more sense, make it look a little bit better. Looks like they're still working through some of those things. Another thing I can do is actually maximize this window like this. And what's nice is that all of my other windows just go away so I can enjoy the theater experience. But I can also, show your universal menu by using the Meta button hand gesture. Not sure why it's telling me. I guess all my tooltips are back on. But you can see I tapped here. My windows are still open, but just a little bit hidden. So I hit that again, they go away. So now I'm able to move this theater window around. And this is pretty cool too. I have a slider here to dim my environment all the way down to just a black void, which is pretty neat. Now, I don't think this works. If I recall, if I go into pass-through, you can see this doesn't work anymore. So I can't dim my pass-through. Only in immersive mode can I dim the area around me. to improve that. Now you can go curved screen, which I think this is what this is, and then you can go flat. But it's cool. We're doing this here in the general OS. Can resize that, make that a little bigger. That big theater feel. Let's minimize that again. And here we are. All of our windows are just where we left them, which is really great. Now, I did see someone mention that if I turn away and let's say turn this off. Now I'm turned over here, and then if I hit this again, they're still in front of my face. Now this might be intentional where, okay, now this is great. I don't have to turn back to where I was before. But I think people would probably prefer for them to stay where you left them instead of them moving around or kind of showing up at a different place depending on if you've tapped this and tapped again over here. I guess if you want to move, you could just turn everything off, move around, turn it back on whenever you stop so you don't have to come back to a spot. I guess that's just a preference thing. I'm not sure which one is best. So some of the advantages of having this inside of the OS is that you're not just looking at browsers. So what we've seen here on the channel are browser apps that can do what we're seeing right here, but they are just browsers. So you have to work on apps that are inside of a website or some type of web app to accomplish that work. Some things that you might be able to do here in the future is sideload an APK, an Android app, to your Quest, and then you could actually run Android apps in this kind of setup. But this is pretty sweet. I'm going to go ahead and open up Microsoft Word, which really just launches Microsoft 365 in a browser window, but let's just open one up. Because if you're going to work in here, just open a document. I think this was the document I demoed many months ago, early on the channel. You can see here, we have our keyboard, which is now touchable. You can kind of turn it, angle it in a way that might make it a little bit easier for you to type on with your hands. We can see Word is up here. Pretty cool. And I have attached my Magic Keyboard, or connected, I should say, Magic Keyboard to Bluetooth. And let's see if we can get this going. So once I start typing, you can see my virtual keyboard goes away. Everything works really nice. Very cool. Now, we lost tracked keyboards in Horizon Workrooms, but I believe they still work here in the main OS. So I'm going to turn immersive mode back on. You can see I have my tracked keyboard back. Kind of good to see it again after we lost it in Workrooms. And some hand occlusion. It's not great. It's really, really foggy. But just so you know just about where you're typing or where you're placing your fingers, I guess that works out. But it's good to see that they haven't completely abandoned tracked keyboards. Some of the things that I've noticed is, like, for example, the store isn't responsive. It doesn't change shape and size like a website does. So there's no resize for the store. You can see I can't really grab the corner of that like I can over here with a website and change the shape of that. But I like that it's really giving you some freedom. It seems like it's moving things and resizing things and not really running into any issues. I feel like the dock might annoy some people just because it keeps snapping my windows. If I'm like just a little bit close to it, it just kind of jumps in there. But I kind of like the dock. I like the stability it kind of gives you. So you can see there that it looks like I didn't pull this away just right. So it just kind of snapped from there all the way back. I must not have gotten it far enough away from the dock. See, it's actually kind of giving me some trouble there. Let's put it way up there. I still can't get that one away. Oh, you know what that is? Actually, I can only have 3 windows in the dock and 3 outside of the dock. So I forgot about this window over here to my left. Let me close that and move this way up here. Now it'll stay because I have 3 out here and only 2 in the dock. So the numbers thing, as far as the 6 would get in the way, but I feel like 6 windows is probably more than enough for you to get used to. I like the fact that you don't have to launch an app, especially if you're going to launch into another experience, like something over here in Quest TV. If you wanted to just pull up a video, you could automatically jump into one of those experiences and you don't have to close an app to move over to another app. There is no window to see through to your keyboard. You just have to be in pass-through mode if you want to do something like that, like we've seen in other apps. And we'll talk about that in a second when we go over to Fluid. So one thing we can do here is like pick up this dock. We're just going to move this all the way over toward the rest of the room. And you can see there's a little bit of resizing that happens. The more I push my hand out, it kind of gets big so I can see what I'm looking at. Right when I let go of my hand there, you can see it kind of resize so that it's still legible and I can see what I'm looking at. It doesn't just stay small at the further distances there. See, I move it out a little bit more, it got even bigger. You can minimize as well. You see, I just tapped the same icons of the windows that were open. And if I hold those, see if I can show that to you. See, if I have multiple windows open, I can actually switch between tabs or windows right here in the dock, similar to any desktop operating system you're probably used to. So pulling the windows in and out is a little bit painful because I have to pinch and pull or pinch and push. And there's no way to do that with the controller. So I'll grab a controller. Even with the controller, I still have to do that. So I still have to grip the grip button and kind of pull and push. I can't use the thumbstick for anything. I imagine these things will probably come in the future, but right now, bare bones, this is all you got. So in this instance, I'm turned face toward the back of the room. I could just hit the quest button, turn around, press the quest button again, and now things are somewhat in front of my face. Well, that one's still over there, so it's a bit inconsistent on where it's putting things, but I imagine that'll probably smooth out as well. So let's hop over here into a little bit more of a photorealistic environment. The other one's a little bit weird. This one actually has some pretty neat elements in it. I would never go camping outdoors like this. I'm not that guy. So this is the new Fluid UI, and it's actually gotten so good. You can see they've added rounded corners. The developers tell me that that wasn't an easy feat, and keeping the resolution nice and crispy in here and adding that kind of border ratio there. But you can see they're getting a little bit more sleek with their design here. It's still giving you that browser option up top. And I believe we're capped at 5 windows here instead of the 6 like you just saw in the Quest OS. Again, I'm not really sure why people need so many windows open, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, and that's it. So 5 windows here as opposed to 6 in the version 67 of Quest. So in Fluid, you have some similar features though. If I were to open, let's just open YouTube, and we'll link the video for the new UI in Fluid down in the comments. But we're just kind of doing a compare and contrast here. So I'm going to start this up. I can do full screen inside this window, and you can see the top of that bar is gone now. So I don't have that address bar up top. It's pretty neat. Looks like there's a little bit of resizing that might need to happen to get all of your window in there. I feel like the resizing is a little bit better too. It's a little faster than it used to be. It used to take a long time to adjust. So one thing that you have here that is not in version 67 is the ability to dim your pass-through. If you can see that, I can dim my pass-through. That only works in immersive mode in version 67, but that works in both pass-through and, let's go ahead and turn off pass-through. This actually works in environments as well in Fluid. So that's a major difference. I'm sure some of that stuff will probably open up over on the Quest OS, but it's really awesome that we're doing this already in browser apps. And the dock down here, you guys have seen this on the channel before. This little window allows me to see my keyboard if I need to. So there's no hand occlusion or anything like that, but I do have a window that I can use to see my desk quickly, and I can turn it off if I don't need it. But I want to show you some of the other cool things that have happened here in Fluid since the last time you've probably looked at it. In addition to this Omni dock here, there's a complete window to manage your spaces. So you have like productivity or watching TV. You can set up your windows for a particular activity and swap between those setups. So you can set up the windows just how you want them and then come back to this window and reload how all those windows were laid out. So over here on Fluid, you actually have the option to save your window layout. You can save them in presets like productivity and watching, and then you can recall those windows and duplicate those spaces depending on where you are. If you're in passthrough or if you're inside of one of these immersive environments, you have that option to always know where your windows line up. Let me show you what that looks like. So if I were to open a few windows, let's put Google over there. Let's do youtube.com. youtube.com. All right, let's open YouTube. We're going to put that one up on the TV, on the wall with the TV right there. Have Google off to your right. So say you have a window up there and window over here, and you like how this setup is. You can go to the Spaces panel here and save the current windows as your default for this space. So if you're in this space, in this environment, you can just save it. And then let's say I were to close these windows or move around, whatever. You can reload those default windows, reload those windows, and they come right back to where they were when you were in this space. So it's really nice to be able to just do that and not have to reset up windows. Ease is a big thing when it comes to doing anything in headset. You don't want to be fiddling around with where to put your windows. You kind of want to just get going. Fluid also has rooms built in, so you can start a room, join a room. When you create a room, you can give the room a name, give it a unique join code so people can be invited to it. You can make it public. It's not ready yet for public rooms, but it's coming soon. Over in the Quest OS, you have to use something like workrooms to have that room experience and screen sharing. So there is a way to share your screen. Let me go back to my homeroom. There's a shared computer window here, and this window is just visible to everyone. You actually get a look at the old UI of how the windows used to look. This is how all the windows used to look in Fluid, but now it's kind of been evolved into more of this sleek Apple Vision Pro-ish kind of window here with the rounded corners and nothing on top. So that's kind of a quick way to see what the windows used to look like here and there. So this window is something you can pull up while you're in a shared room with other users, share everything there, and they can see it. There's a little warning down here reminding you that whatever you're sharing on this screen can be viewed by the other people in the room. Another really cool feature in Fluid is that, yes, we have this beautiful environment here. I believe this one's called Tranquil Grandeur. So this was just one of many. You can teleport around these rooms and get a different look. Sorry if that teleport noise kind of scared you, but you can get a different look at the environment here. You can sit at any of these spots that light up when I point to them. Let's go by a window. Let's sit on the couch down here. What's really cool about this is that the environments outside of these windows are AI generated. So I can switch those really fast. You can see the outsides have changed. Let me close that window so we can see all the way through. But it doesn't stop with these prepackaged ones. You can actually go into the Skybox library. You can see it kind of erased everything outside the windows. A little creepy when that happens. But you can put in a prompt here and create your own custom look to be outside of your window, your own custom Skybox, right? So let me go here. I'm going to say Matrix Code City. Why not, right? And then generate. They use credits similar to Adobe. I know Adobe's not in anyone's good graces right now, but they use credits so that you don't overload the generation of assets here. So I'm going to generate that. Nice little loading animation here. All right. So here's our city. I don't see a lot of matrix code here, but it's pretty neat. Looks like there's a lot of green being used. So one thing I want to point out here is that there's a rotation slider here, and I can actually rotate the outside so I can see maybe a better angle of what was generated. So these are kind of like 360 photos outside your window. But it's pretty cool that you can customize this, right? So you're not waiting for a new environment to be loaded. There are environments that Fluid updates here, just the static environment like this room here, but anything outside the window is up to your imagination to be generated through prompts. So I want to point out some other cool things that are still here. So Fluid actually has voice to text just like the Meta OS. So I can go in here, I want to add a new thing here. I can just hold A and say the construct. It'll read what I spoke and type it in. So of course, your Bluetooth mouse and Bluetooth keyboard are compatible with Fluid as well, just like in the Meta OS. I think one of the big differences is being able to take windows, use the thumbstick, move them around very fast in this way. This is almost a must-have feature. Being able to do that quickly without kind of like doing the fisherman grab and pull kind of thing is just oh so necessary. I'm going to jump back into passthrough. So being able to dim your surroundings really gives you a really nice cinema way of looking at this. So in comparison, this is similar to what you would see in the Quest OS, where you have, your dark surrounding, but the only major difference here is the fact that I can do this in passthrough. There's no curved screens here. But another update I'm excited about is that they actually have added screen touching to these windows. That was something that wasn't included in these browser apps before. You can actually touch the screen and get some interaction there. Something else that's always been here in Fluid is the follow feature. It's a little bit easier to see now. Here it's called Follow Me. I think it was a pin before this update, but if you turn on Follow Me, what ends up happening is if you turn your head, the window kind of turns with you, kind of keeps up with you. A lot of people wanted this feature, so if they're using their headset in mixed reality and they're doing something else and you're watching, say, a game or something, it'll just stay next to you all the time. You don't have to keep grabbing it and getting your controller or using your hands to bring the screen back close to you. And in the end, like I said, I think there's space for apps that do this and a native OS that does this. The advantage that individual developers have is that they can customize the experience to very specific needs and maybe include things that wouldn't necessarily work in a general OS. It's similar to how people rarely use the native browser of an operating system, how people resist using Safari for so long or resist using Edge for so long, and they downloaded something like Chrome or Firefox or all the other browsers that you might have heard about that suit their needs specifically. I think we'll end up in a place like that where, yes, you have it in the native OS, but if you want something custom, or if you're really used to something that an individual developer has built, you'll probably just stay there for your MR working needs. But definitely try these out for yourself. I left some links in the description so you can check out the PTC version 67 or the latest beta of Fluid, and let me know what you think in the comments. We'll see you here next time in The Construct. Peace.